We've got 2/3 of the House Democratic leadership here. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. Leader Hoyer, let me start with you and ask you, we're looking at, 140 Republican House members who are set to challenge the electoral college votes from certain states. How is it going to work on Wednesday when these challenges pop up?
We're going to prevail. This is a sad day for democracy. It's a sad day for the confidence of the American people that so many members of the Congress of the United States in the House and now in the Senate would do what they know is not right to do. They know President Biden has been elected. They know that the majority of the American people voted significantly for Joe Biden, and they keep writhing at the request of Donald Trump. And that is not what they ought to be doing. It's not good for democracy. As a matter of fact, it undermines the transition of government. Very frankly, when Democrats were confronted with a situation where 5 members of the Supreme Court said the election was over, we didn't believe it was over. Florida was still very close and votes had not been counted. Notwithstanding that, Al Gore said the election is over. I will recognize our democracy, and it works. All these folks are doing is denying reality, as Donald Trump does on a regular basis, and undermining democracy.
Whip Clyburn, you're the person who's charged with knowing where the votes are. Is there any possibility that there are any Democrats who would join in the effort with Republicans to not certify the election?
Well, thank you very much for having me, Jonathan. It's zero. That is a zero possibility.
Just double checking.
Well, I think that Steny has it exactly right. These people are quite aware of what happened on November 3rd. Every state that they're challenging has had a recount on top of recount, and some of them in 3 different ways, and results have always been the same. So they know what the outcome is. They are posturing, and they are absolutely endangering the future of this country. This has been a beacon on the hill when we talk about democracy at work. And for them to be doing things that subvert that reputation, it is something that I never thought that I would see in this country. To hear them talking about 74,000 voters without regards to the 80,000 voters that voted the other way. So if we're supposed to give so much deference to 74,000, what about the 74 million? What about the 80 million that voted the other way? So this, to me, is just a mockery.
Leader Hoyer, one member of the House of Representatives, Congressman Louis Gohmert, doesn't seem to be taking Trump's loss lightly. Have a listen to what he said on Newsmax the other day.
But the bottom line is the court is saying, we're not going to touch this. You have no remedy. Basically, in effect, the ruling would be that you got to go to the streets and be as violent as Antifa and BLM.
Be as violent. Leader Hoyer, your reaction to a sitting member of Congress calling for violence?
Totally irresponsible and, very frankly, bordering on sedition, bordering on undermining our democracy. A hateful and awful thing for a member of the Congress to do, or for, frankly, any American citizen to do. What a shame that Louis Gohmert or any other Republican, knowing full well, as Mitt Romney from Utah is saying, as Pat Toomey from Pennsylvania is saying, as McConnell said in congratulating Biden for his election, the courts have ruled. Contrary to what Gohmert said, there have been some 60 cases, all won, no evidence to show fraud that would have affected the election. It is just a tragedy that so many members of the House and the Senate are undermining the confidence in our democracy, not in Joe Biden, not in Democrats, but our democracy itself. that relies on the peaceful resolution of differences through elections. And it's just a sad, sad state of affairs that the Republican Party has come to a point where they have so many members who do not respect our democracy and our country.
Whip Clyburn, I want to get your reaction to what Congressman Gohmert said, but I also want to read you something that he said. Congressman Gohmert also said, and I'm going to put this up on the screen as I read it here in this tweet. I have not encouraged and unequivocally do not advocate for violence. I have long advocated for following the teachings and example of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. of peaceful protests. That does not keep me from recognizing yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. Congressman Clyburn, your reaction to Congressman Gohmert, the call to violence, but also trying to link himself to Martin Luther King?
Well, you know, I would say to Mr. Gohmert, as being one who did quite a few events with Dr. King, one of the things that we always believed in was that you just did not advocate, but you practiced what you preached. So I would say to Mr. Gohmert, if he is such an advocate of the teachings of Martin Luther King Jr., practice what he's taught. And that's not what he's doing. He is, once again, mouthing words, but not demonstrating in deeds that he does adhere to those teachings.
Congressman Clyburn, real fast, yes or no answer. Will Nancy Pelosi be reelected as Speaker of the House today?
Yes. Yes.
And with that, Congressman Steny Hoyer and Congressman Jim Clyburn, thank you both very much for coming on Sunday's show.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.